I think President Trump will wipe them off the face of the earth, just like he did ISIS.
Blood runs cold in cartel strongholds tonight. Leaders who once ruled through terror now taste fear themselves as Trump and Musk unleash America's deadliest technology against them. The game has changed overnight. Musk's declaration echoes through their safe houses. Cartels are now legitimate targets for drone nation. Trump's terrorist designation transforms Mexico's most feared criminal organizations into hunted prey, vulnerable to the same precision strikes that eliminated ISIS commanders and Al-Qaeda lieutenants. It's already begun. U-2 spy planes and P-8 Poseidons are transmitting data back to operations centers where kill decisions await final authorization. These unmanned predators hover beyond sight, beyond sound, yet see everything. The question isn't if blood will spill, but whose. When the missiles fall, how will men accustomed to being hunters respond to becoming the hunted? This is no hypothetical scenario. This is happening now, and once the first missile strikes, there's no stopping the cascade of violence that follows. Let's expose the brutal reality behind America's impending drone war against the cartels.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years.
One signature transformed everything. With a flourish of his pen, Trump didn't just change policy. He fundamentally altered the rules of a decades-long conflict. These weren't just foreign criminal enterprises anymore. They were terrorists. The distinction matters in ways that will soon be written in blood. This designation wasn't bureaucratic paperwork. It was permission to kill. Mexico's most feared organizations now share classification with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, groups that collectively bathe Mexico in blood, command private armies, and traffic human beings like cattle, now face America's most sophisticated killing technology. For decades, these cartels operated with relative immunity from American military power. It was a sort of Mexican cartels are Mexico's problem. That shield has vanished. Clearly, they're no longer Mexico's problem, when their fentanyl has become the leading cause of death for young Americans. Then came Musk, Earth's wealthiest man and Trump's technological warfare advisor. His statement was brutally direct. These organizations are now eligible for drone strikes. His follow-up message revealed the scope of what's coming. American weapons programs need to be completely redone. The current strategy is to build a small number of weapons at a high price to fight yesterday's war. Unless there are immediate and dramatic changes made, America will lose the next war very badly. This was a warning from someone with direct presidential access. The mind behind SpaceX and Tesla, technological empires built on innovation, now contemplates using similar technology to hunt human beings. For cartel leaders accustomed to bribing officials and intimidating rivals, this represents something terrifying. Death delivered silently from above. No warning, no mercy. Not everyone takes Musk seriously. Mexican journalist Rosario Avilés said he's bluffing.
Elon Musk ha exagerado, ¿no?, su papel. No solamente hacia afuera, sino también hacia adentro de Estados Unidos.
She interprets his statements as Trump's indirect message, power projection designed to extract trade concessions. But for cartel members watching American aircraft circling overhead, the distinction between threat and bluff dissolves with each passing day. They have good reason to.
The U.S. military is keeping a close eye on the Mexican border. Over the course of 10 days, spy planes flew at least 18 missions over the southwestern U.S. and the international airspace around the Baja Peninsula.
Clearly, this isn't speculation. American surveillance aircraft saturate Mexican airspace. Military officials confirm at least 18 missions in just 10 days, a staggering escalation from the previous rate of one monthly flight. These are America's most advanced surveillance technology planes, U-2 spy planes capturing crystal-clear images from 70,000 feet above Earth, P-8 Poseidons tracking ground movements through cloud cover with advanced radar, RC-135 rivet joint electronic surveillance platforms vacuuming up every phone call, text message, and radio transmission across vast territories. Most terrifying for cartel leadership, the MQ-9 Reaper drone. This isn't just surveillance, it's the executioner's platform. Drone pilot Michael Inella says,
They are able to
Son capaces de estar en el aire mucho más tiempo que otro dron comercial que alguien puede comprar como pasatiempo.
The Reaper exists for one purpose, killing. 11 meters long with a 20-meter wingspan, it reaches 15,000-meter altitudes and 500 kilometers per hour speeds. And it carries 7 weapon mounts loaded with precision-guided missiles, the same missiles that turned terrorist leaders into smoldering craters across Afghanistan, Iraq, and Yemen. Mexican officials acknowledge just 2 surveillance flights. Pentagon sources confirm at least 18. Someone's lying, revealing the dangerous deception game unfolding. Either Mexico remains deliberately uninformed about American operations along their border, or they're constructing counter-narratives as their sovereignty crumbles. When questioned whether these flights targeted drug trafficking networks, Mexican Defense Minister Ricardo Trevilla admitted something shocking. "We can't rule it out because we simply don't know what they did." Basically, he's acknowledging a foreign military might conduct surveillance operations over Mexico's territory without their knowledge or consent. The implications are explosive. Long-standing intelligence sharing agreements require data collected over Mexican territory to be shared between both nations. If America deliberately conceals these operations' true scope, it suggests imminent action Mexico isn't meant to anticipate until too late. Only two plausible scenarios exist. Both point toward war. First, Trump's administration believes the Mexican government is corrupt beyond salvation. They suspect officials would warn cartel leadership about surveillance patterns, helping them evade detection or prepare countermeasures. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum vehemently rejects this characterization. "We categorically reject White House slander against the Mexican government regarding criminal organization alliances. But it wouldn't be the first time cartels have high-ranking politicians in their pocket." If this scenario proves accurate, America purposely feeds Mexico limited information while conducting true surveillance operations covertly.
Mexico probably doesn't want that, but we have to do what's right.
The second scenario presents even graver implications. Mexico knows perfectly well about all 18 flights, but publicly acknowledges only 2 to maintain sovereignty illusions. The reason for that would be to not look weak to its citizens. Either way, Mexico's government can't be too happy about the escalation of violence that experts promise after Musk's drone warning. After all, everyone has seen the news.
There will be violence, and it's something we're prepared to handle, but a warning to the cartels: if they harm a border patrol agent, one of our soldiers, President Trump will not hesitate to take extreme action. I think President Trump will wipe them off the face of the earth, just like he did ISIS and the Caliphate.
With Trump and Musk promising unprecedented retaliation, both Mexican officials and cartel leaders scramble to prepare for what comes next.
The fentanyl coming through Canada is massive. The fentanyl coming through Mexico is massive. And people are getting killed and families are being destroyed.
Behind Trump's declaration lies America's deadliest drug crisis. The real target isn't just cartels, it's fentanyl, a synthetic opioid devastating families across every American community.
He was a young man, like so many others out there. They are stressed, they are worried. The pandemic keeps them away from their friends. They can't go to school.
Those are the words of one mother whose son died from a single encounter with fentanyl-laced cocaine.
You know, if you take one line of cocaine and that's fentanyl instead, you have no chance.
But this is not a lone case, and the fentanyl crisis did not stop with the COVID-19 pandemic. The numbers stagger even hardened DEA officers. Over 100,000 Americans dead during the pandemic alone. And now, the leading cause of death for Americans between 18 and 45 is fentanyl.
I know my child, and I know that he was not an addict.
This is my daughter's obituary. This paper is all I have left.
Fentanyl kills with terrifying efficiency, 50 times stronger than heroin. A few invisible grains, equivalent to salt particles, deliver death within minutes. No second chances, no warning signs. Medical examiners nationwide document the horror.
All of us are exhausted.
Have you run out of space for the bodies?
We have outgrown our cooler. We have a FEMA trailer that they're allowing us to use as well for additional storage.
Imagine that. And it's not just the shocking quantity of bodies.
This has only been within about the last year. I'll be honest, it keeps me up at night.
It's also the young age of the victims arriving at hospitals. It's a haunting sight even for seasoned coroners. This is an unprecedented problem. Fentanyl kills faster and easier than any drug before. And it's found in larger quantities too, because it's really easy to make.
These cartels are responsible for virtually all of the fentanyl, and they currently dominate the worldwide fentanyl distribution and supply chain.
Unlike heroin requiring poppy cultivation, fentanyl needs only chemical precursors and basic lab equipment. Year-round production, limitless supply, astronomical profits. The distribution strategy proves even more sinister. Mexican cartels deliberately contaminate every street drug, ensuring addiction or death with each transaction. What looks like Percocet, Xanax, or Adderall often contains lethal fentanyl doses instead. Young victims rarely understand the danger. Honor students, athletes, musicians. One pill can kill has become a hashtag, not hyperbole, statistical certainty.
Everyone thinks that, oh, it's not going to happen to me. How could it be me? But, you know, it's when you start becoming careless like that it can be you.
He survived, many of his friends haven't. The pipeline runs directly from cartel labs through border crossings, then spreads nationwide via social media. Dealers advertise openly on platforms where teenagers scroll daily. The DEA released this emoji drug code list. This is how easy it is to order now. Just know your emojis. First responders witness the aftermath.
When you on it, your chances of coming back aren't really that great, actually.
And the crisis touches every community. No demographic remains unaffected. The coroner's spreadsheets grow exponentially each year. This is the enemy Trump and Musk target. Not just faceless cartel organizations, but the chemical weapons they manufacture and distribute. A substance responsible for more American deaths than any terrorist organization in history.
Well, the cartels have been involved in the deaths of far more Americans than all terrorist organizations combined here within the United States, right? We know.
For grieving families, drone strikes represent more than foreign policy. They mean accountability for children who never came home. Justice for lives extinguished by poisoned pills. Retaliation against an invasion more deadly than any conventional war. Trump's terrorist designation transforms the decades-long drug war into something far more consequential, an acknowledgement that fentanyl represents chemical warfare against American citizens. This context frames every surveillance flight, every drone movement. This isn't merely about drugs, it's about survival. While Americans tend to endorse Trump's plan and worry about their children, cartels worry about protecting themselves. How do they fight an army of high-tech drones striking from 50,000 feet? Experts say it won't be easy, but cartels will up the violence just like they've been doing for the last half a century. After all, this is what El Mencho did 10 years ago.
The Jalisco New Generation Cartel took the fight to the next level, shooting down a military helicopter with a rocket-propelled grenade.
We can only imagine their technology grew since then, and they'll be preparing for Trump's plan. It's not like it's a secret. Cartels didn't build multi-billion-dollar empires by surrendering. They survived through adaptation and brutal retaliation. Whenever authorities launched major operations against them, cartels responded with spectacular violence that paralyzed entire regions. Remember Culiacan, when authorities captured El Chapo's son? Sinaloa cartel fighters overwhelmed an entire city with military-grade firepower until the government capitulated and released him.
This is the deadly and chaotic gun battle erupting in the Mexican city of Culiacan after the Mexican government says the National Guard and Army attempted to arrest El Chapo's son, Ovidio Guzman Lopez.
Military-trained gunmen outmaneuvered government forces with discipline and weaponry, surpassing many national armies. Now imagine their response to American drone assassinations. They won't just back away, they'll escalate dramatically, potentially bringing unprecedented violence to American soil for the first time. The CJNG's philosophy is built on extreme violence and deadly narcotics distribution.
They dressed us properly military. They also have these high caliber guns. They have what they call those monstruos, which are really basically what man-made tanks, you know.
With established networks in virtually every major American city, cartels maintain infrastructure to deliver shocking violence north of the border. Their operatives already control drug distribution throughout the United States. They've infiltrated legitimate businesses. They maintain connections with street gangs who could serve as proxies for retaliatory attacks. Intelligence reports indicate cartel lieutenants moving families to remote locations, clear evidence they take the aerial threat seriously. Simultaneously, they prepare countermeasures. Cartels have already deployed drone technology themselves, using explosive-laden UAVs against rivals and law enforcement. They could easily redirect these tactics against border patrol or even civilian targets inside American territory. Psychological warfare has begun. If they believe American strikes are imminent, why wait to retaliate? Their calculation becomes straightforward. Demonstrate the cost of intervention before the first missile launches. While people are discussing drones and counterterrorism designations, they tend to forget one crucial detail: the human catastrophe this escalation guarantees. For ordinary Mexicans living in cartel-controlled territories, American military intervention brings fresh terrors. They've already endured violence, claiming some 500,000 lives since 2006. They don't trust the police anymore. They know they succumb to cartels' threats and bribes.
Mira bien, hijo de tu puta madre. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tu puta gente a la verga. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tus putas partidas, si no te voy a partir tu madre y toda tu bola de perros. Te tengo identificado 30 güeyes. Hasta tus putos perros te van a matar si no te relajas, güey. ¿Cómo ves?
Ya está, señor, ahorita los bajo.
Oh, no cuelgues, hijo de la verga. Te tengo ubicado en Chacata, güey.
No le estoy colgando, le estoy diciendo, ahorita los bajo.
Póngase a las pilas, güey. ¿Qué se le cuesta ser amigo, cabrón?
Now they face becoming collateral damage in high-tech warfare between superpowers and criminal armies. Musk's drones will come from clear skies without warning. Will they really avoid every innocent passerby? For Americans living near the border, stakes climb equally high. If cartels retaliate for drone strikes by targeting U.S. communities, violence that has plagued Mexico for decades could erupt northward with devastating consequences. Border Patrol agents already face explosive-laden drones targeting them on American soil.
Tom, let's get right at this. There are reports that the cartels plan to attack Border Patrol agents with side drones.
But escalation could place civilians directly in danger, transforming shopping centers, schools, and public spaces into potential battlegrounds. Clearly, Elon Musk has deeper military ambitions. His eyes now fix on cartels with calculating precision. He speaks not as civilian billionaire, but as warfare revolutionary. America fights yesterday's battles with handful of insanely expensive weapons, he argues. His contempt for traditional military thinking surfaces in shocking assessments of programs like the F-35, dismissed as the work of idiots. His alternative? Swarms of lethal, autonomous drones, cheaper, deadlier, relentless. He insists piloted fighter jets are becoming obsolete. Still, military experts urge caution against wholesale abandonment of proven technologies. This isn't mere theoretical criticism, though. SpaceX's military contracts give Musk unprecedented influence in defense circles. His satellites already provide crucial battlefield communications in Ukraine, where conventional infrastructure collapsed under Russian bombardment. As Trump's advisor, Musk whispers directly into his ears. His company's expertise in artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and manufacturing apply perfectly to next-generation warfare. The cartels now face not just America's traditional military might, but Musk's technological revolution. For Claudia Scheinbaum, American drones circling overhead represent sovereignty's slow death. Each flight strips away pretense of independence, forcing impossible choices between national pride and security necessity. A few days ago, she said it's all good. The US and Mexico are buddies, and that Mexico has the upper hand. They asked Trump for help.
Estos vuelos son parte de coordinación. Aquí está el almirante secretario. Colaboraciones que se hacen desde hace muchos años entre el gobierno de Estados Unidos y el gobierno de México, y muchas veces esa petición, o más bien todas las veces, es bajo petición del gobierno de México.
But her words ring hollow against her defense minister's admission. They're unaware of American aircraft operations over Mexican territory. Agreements requiring intelligence sharing between nations crumble as America deliberately conceals operations. This suggests imminent strikes that Mexico isn't meant to anticipate. For now, Scheinbaum resorts to threatened litigation against American weapons manufacturers, a desperate countermeasure from a government watching authority erode from all sides. When the first Hellfire missile strikes cartel compound, history fractures. Direct American military action on Mexican soil, first since Pershing's 1916 expedition against Pancho Villa, with weaponry exponentially more devastating. Would cartels retreat before technological superiority, or unleash unprecedented violence through networks embedded throughout American cities? Would Mexico's government cooperate secretly while condemning publicly, or would decades of partnership collapse overnight? History offers a tough warning. Previous victories against cartels merely fractured organizations into more violent successors. The Guadalajara cartel's dismantlement birthed Sinaloa, Juarez, and Tijuana cartels. Los Zetas' separation from Gulf Cartel introduced military tactics and horrific brutality previously unknown. Even capturing kingpins like El Chapo proved counterproductive, triggering bloody succession battles, claiming thousands of additional lives. The lesson isn't simply that decapitation strategies fail. Each attempt creates multiple new threats, each more savage than before. Cartels now face an existential challenge, unlike any previous effort. Their response will match this escalation with devastating consequences. Innocent civilians, Mexican communities, and American border towns bear greatest costs in conflict neither government fully controls. As surveillance platforms gather intelligence and countdown to first strike advances, there's no reversal possible, only progression into uncharted territory where engagement rules remain undefined. The ultimate price will be paid not by presidents, billionaires, or cartel leaders, but by ordinary people whose lives become collateral damage in conflict decades in development. Is America creating 1,000 new enemies for each cartel leader eliminated? Will the same drones hunting cartel kingpins eventually patrol American cities when violence erupts northward? Does sacrificing Mexican sovereignty today guarantee American security tomorrow, or ensure generations of hatred? Leave your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and watch our next video. We need to know the truth.